Okay, a little tilted here. Just started raining on me. Now I'm inside a hallway. Probably you can see me better. Okay. I think we finished with Genesis chapter 2. We beat the thing to death a little bit. Same as chapter 1, just more details. Doesn't contradict and forms a much better model. So we're back to other evidence that we can observe about the incredibly complex design of the universe, which points to a supreme designer, God. We've seen how well Genesis chapter 1 and 2 fit the model. Let's look at the physical laws and constants that testify to a design creation. We're here at k71.htm. Dr. Don B. DeYoung states, gravity holds us firmly on the ground and also keeps the earth circling the sun. It draws rain from the sky and causes the tides. The mysterious gravity force continues to puzzle scientists even as it gives stability to the universe. How is gravity able to act across empty space? Why does it exist in the first place? Science has never been able very successfully to explain such natural laws. After all, these universal rules cannot slowly arise by mutation or natural selection. They have been here since the very beginning. Gravity, as well as every other intricate law and constant, is actually an absolute testimony to creation. Colossians 1:17 explains this, that Christ is before all things, and by him all things that consist. The Greek verb for consist means to cohere, preserve, or hold together. Extra-biblical Greek use of this word pictures a vessel holding water within itself. So the Greeks had some ideas. The word is used in Colossians in the perfect tense, which describes a present continuing state arising from past action. This present tense also implies permanence of the act of holding the universe together. If the Lord turned his back on the universe for one moment, instant chaos would result. Pigeons around me groaning. Without gravity, the earth, moon, and stars would immediately disintegrate. A second reference, Hebrews 1:3, declares that Christ upholds all things by the word of his power. Uphold, the Greek eniggo, again describes the sustaining or maintaining of all things, including gravity. The word uphold means much more than simply supporting a weight. It includes control of all the ongoing motions and changes within the universe. This infinite task is managed by Christ's almighty word, whereby the universe itself was first called into being. Hebrews 11:3. John 1:1-3 come to mind, indicating the Word, who is Christ, created all things. There was not a thing that was created that was not created by him. Raise my height a little bit. Conclusion: it is a fair question to ask natural science why basic laws such as gravity exist. Why is the universe filled with intriguing technical relationships, symmetry, and unity? Some experts are quick to reply that the task of science is only to find out the how of nature, not the why. But this excuse simply reveals the incompleteness of natural science alone. Ultimate truth about the universe must also deal with God's initial provision and his continuing care for us. The Creator is clearly an intimate part of every physical detail, including gravity. All things hold together, all the way down to the smallest atomic nucleus and smaller particles. Dr. Don Patton, videotape, which I recorded, there are laws that govern the physical universe. The light that's falling on me now obeys the law of an inverse square proportionality. It falls off inversely proportional to the square of the distance, and that's true whether the light's coming from the light bulb or whether it's coming from the sun. Why is that true? Well, the answer is because these laws are operational throughout the universe. Wherever we go, wherever we can measure, the implications are obvious. There must be a lawgiver with the authority and power to govern the universe. Notice a statement of James H. Shea, who is editor of the Journal of Geological Education. He says, the most serious problem with this concept grows out of the fact that it uses a metaphor, the laws that govern or control nature. We seem to believe that there literally are such laws. He says the concept is anachronistic in that it originated at a time when the Almighty was thought to have established the laws of nature and to have decreed that nature must obey them. It's a great pity for the philosophy of science that the word law was ever introduced. Interesting. How he arrived at those conclusions. Well, Dr. Patton says we can see his struggle. He's an atheist. He's trying to evade, not Dr. Patton, but the geologist. He's trying to evade the obvious implication of the fact that there are laws that govern the universe. We want to talk particularly about the laws of thermodynamics. Notice the statement by Albert Einstein, quoted in Science. Classical thermodynamics, only physical theory of universal content concerning which I am convinced that within the framework of applicability of its basic concepts, it will never be overthrown. Now, whatever this term means, according to Albert Einstein, this is the physical concept in which he has the greatest confidence. He is more confident regarding these concepts than they will never be overthrown. There are laws of science. We spoke earlier in this series about what's necessary to constitute a law of science. It involves observation and repeatability and experimentation and measurement. All of these factors help us define that which comes to be considered a law. And we'll be looking at the laws and various observations that we're able to make in this universe and comparing it with the models of creation and evolution as we seek to explain origins and see which one of those concepts fits best with regard to the observations that we make. And particularly in this session, regarding these laws of science, the most fundamental generalizations that we know about science. Dr. Patton goes on to examine the first law of thermodynamics. The first of these laws is the first law of thermodynamics, sometimes called the law of conservation. It says while matter or energy can sometimes be interchanged, neither can be created or destroyed. The total amount is constant. Another way of saying it is that you can't get something from nothing. This principle of conservation has been measured and tested and has been confirmed completely and is unquestionably a law. The science writer Isaac Asimov, one of the more prolific science writers of our time, was writing in the Smithsonian Institution Journal, June 1970, and he made the statement regarding this first law. This law is considered the most powerful and most fundamental generalization about the universe that scientists have ever been able to make. No one knows why energy is conserved. All that anyone can say is that in over a century and a quarter of careful measurement, scientists have never been able to point to a definite violation of energy conservation, either in the familiar everyday surroundings about us, or in the heavens above, or in the atoms within. Now that's a very broad statement, very, very broad. is the most fundamental generalization we can make about the universe, according to this atheistic philosopher science, and it pervades the universe from the atoms to the heavens. This, Isaac Asimov states, is a law. We measured it, we observed it, and he's an atheist. But notice how he flies in the face of this law when he comes face to face with its implications regarding origins. This time, writing in Science Digest, he says, "Perhaps in an infinite sea of nothingness, globs of positive and negative energy in equal-sized pairs are constantly forming and, after passing through evolutionary changes, combining once more and vanishing. We're in one of those blobs in the period of time between nothing and nothing and wondering about it." Where's the science in that? Now, in view of what we have said, as quoted earlier, is the most fundamental generalization about the universe that scientists have ever been able to make. I think we can conclude that this second quotation is not science. In fact, it's not even good science fiction, which flies in the face of this most fundamental generalization. The first law of thermodynamics, which says that you can't get something from nothing. Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. I find that most of the scientists that I try to talk to about origins, when it comes to talking about the origin of matter, simply sidestep, evade, or avoid the question. It came from somewhere else, they say, and then they involve themselves in the logical fallacy of infinite regression. They say, it came from over here. Well, where did it come from to get there? Well, maybe over there. And then where did it come from there? Well, you see, they infinitely regress, never really getting to the point of where it all began. And when we come face to face with the laws that govern this universe, we see that there is no natural explanation for the origin of matter. The law says nothing can come from nothing. So you must go beyond the natural explanation to what you might call supernatural. Natural law can't account for origins. Natural law says that the origin of matter won't happen naturally. So natural laws deny the naturalistic philosopher's effort to explain origins. And we can see the obvious conflict here. The law of conservation of energy in matter says there is a principle of conservation, that matter can neither be destroyed nor created from nothing. Can be neither created nor destroyed. And yet, the naturalistic philosopher tries to explain the origin of everything in conformity with natural law, but natural laws deny the possibility of the origin of the universe coming about by natural laws. On the other hand, the creation model scenario fits the existence of natural laws best, where there is a creator who operated in the beginning outside of natural law. The second law of thermodynamics, Dr. Patton goes into, the second law of thermodynamics, sometimes called the principle of entropy increase, says the system runs down or wears out. And that's no surprise to us. We know that systems run down and wear out. We know that when we buy a new car, it doesn't get more powerful. We know that we ourselves run down and wear out eventually. Notice the description of it that Isaac Asimov makes in the Smithsonian Institution Journal, when he says, another way of stating the second law, then, is the universe is constantly getting more disorderly. Viewed that way, we can see the second law all about us. We have to work hard to straighten a room, but left to itself, it becomes a mess again very quickly and very easily. Even if we never enter it, it becomes dusty and musty. How difficult to maintain houses and machinery and our own bodies in perfect working order. How easy to let them deteriorate. In fact, all we have to do is nothing, and everything deteriorates, collapses, breaks down, wears out all by itself. And that is what the second law is all about. Dr. Patton quotes a number of people. Sir Arthur Eddington. If your theory is found to be against the second law of thermodynamics, I can give you no hope. There is nothing for it but to collapse in deepest humiliation. A.B. Papard, Cambridge.